Hello, explorers. Yeah, I know you have a lot of questions about me and why I was not posting regularly on this channel. So, yeah, I was away from this platform for about 8 to 9 months because I had some things. I was quite busy with my life and there was a lot going on. So, yeah, so today I'm back and I wanted to inform you about a course which I did a few months ago from AWS titled the AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. So yeah, I'm going to make a video on this today about the various things which I learned, and I also gave the exam after completing all the 10 modules of this course and finally earned a certificate after passing the exam and finally became a cloud practitioner, a certified AWS cloud practitioner, which you can also become if you go through this entire video till the very end if you really want to know about this course and the overview of the things which this course can offer you if you take this course. Okay, so this is going to be a long video. So now without any further ado, let's start the video. Okay, so first of all about the course. Despite the statistics showing the business efficiency, cost benefits, and competitive advantages the cloud computing possesses, a significant percentage of the corporate community continues to function without cloud computing. Despite the fact that it has been available for around 20 years, a research by the International Data Group found that 60% of the firms are now adopting cloud technology in the same form, and 18% indicate that they want to do so in the future as well. There are many advantages when we are using cloud computing instead of traditional computing. Some of the advantages of cloud computing are cost savings, flexibility, mobility, disaster recovery, security, quality control, sustainability, etc. The customers that use AWS services receive them through a global network of AWS server farms. The pay as you go approach of charging is based on consumption as well as subscriber, selected hardware, operating system software, and networking characteristics that must be available, redundant, secure, and offer a range of service alternatives. The subscribers have the option of paying for a single physical or virtual AWS machine, a cluster of either or both. The subscribers can rely on Amazon for certain security related services such as physical security of the data centers, but they're responsible for other security related tasks, example account management, vulnerability scanning, patching, etc. Now let's move on to the introduction. The AWS Academy Cloud Foundations course helped me know about the various cloud concepts, economics and billing, AWS services, AWS cloud security, how the compute storage database works in AWS, architecture of the cloud and scaling, and monitoring of the cloud services. The first module describes the cloud computing, the benefits of the cloud computing, various products and services offered by AWS, and the AWS Cloud Adoption Framework. The second module describes how AWS sets prices for various services, how AWS does billing for its customers, and AWS technical support. The third module describes the AWS global infrastructure and the various service categories of AWS. The fourth module describes how we can secure our AWS account, the AWS shared responsibility model, and AWS IAM. The fifth module describes the various networking concepts, Amazon Virtual Private Cloud, Amazon Route 53, Amazon CloudFront, etc. The sixth module describes the various computing services that are offered by AWS like EC2, ECS, EKS, ECR, the AWS Lambda, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, etc. The seventh module describes the various types of storage offered by AWS such as EBS, S3 EFS, S3 Glacier, etc. That module describes the various databases that are offered by AWS such as Amazon RDS, DynamoDB, Redshift, Aurora, etc. The ninth module describes AWS architecture frameworks, AWS trusted advisors, etc. The 10th module describes how the auto scaling works in AWS load balancing CloudWatch. So this is the topics overview of the entire coursework. So right from the module 1 right up to the module 10, we have things varying from cloud concepts overview till automatic scaling and monitoring, which I'm going to cover one by one. So, the first module, the cloud concepts overview. So, in this module, I have studied introduction to cloud computing, advantages of cloud computing, introduction to Amazon Web Services and AWS Cloud Adoption Framework. In section 1, introduction to cloud computing, I learned about the on demand pay as you go supply of computing power, databases, storage apps, and the other IT resources over the internet is known as cloud computing. On servers housed in enormous data centers spread throughout the globe, these resources are operated. The machines you are utilizing belong to the cloud service provider you are using, such as AWS. Together, these materials may be utilized as building blocks to create solutions that support both technological and commercial objectives. Cloud service model. There are three main cloud service models that are being used nowadays. Those are number one, infrastructure as a service or IaaS. These types of services provide you access to networking capabilities, computers, and data storage space. They are the fundamental building blocks of cloud IT. You have the greatest degree of flexibility and administrative control over your IT resources thanks to IaaS. It is most comparable to already available IT resources that many IT departments and developers are accustomed to. The second one, platform as a service or PaaS, by reducing your need to handle the underlying infrastructure. Services in this category free up your time so you can concentrate on the deployment, administration of your applications. The third one is software as a service or SaaS. You receive a finished product from these services which are administered and managed by the service provider. The end user applications are typically referred to as software as a service. You don't need to consider how the service is handled for the underlying infrastructure is maintained while using a SaaS provider. You simply need to consider how you want to utilize that specific piece of software. Web based email is a typical example of a SaaS application since it allows you to send and receive emails without having to manage feature updates or upkeep for the servers and operating systems that the email program uses. And also, the section 2 deals with the advantages of cloud computing, which are make a data backup and restore, increased collaboration, high accessibility, low cost of maintenance, flexibility, services with a pay per use business model. And finally, the section 3 is about the introduction to AWS. AWS or Amazon Web Services, as we all know very well, is a safe cloud platform with a large section or large selection of international cloud based products. You have instant access to the computing, storage, network, database, and other IT resources as well as the management tools that you might want for your projects, since these solutions are offered through the internet. The AWS resources may be provisioned and launched right away. Within minutes, the resources are available for your use. And now the module 2, the cloud economics and billing. So in the section 1, it deals with the fundamentals of pricing. With AWS, there are many cost factors, but there are three main cost factors to consider: compute, storage, and outbound data transport. Numerous cloud computing services are provided by AWS. You only pay for the resources that you really use for each service. This pricing model includes pay for what you use, pay less when you reserve, pay less as you use more, pay even less when AWS grows. AWS offers various services with no additional changes. These are Amazon Virtual Private Cloud or Amazon VPC, AWS Identity and Access Management or IAM, Consolidated Billing, AWS Elastic Beanstalk, AWS CloudFormation, Automatic Scaling, AWS Opworks. Although there is no fees for these services, there may be fees for other AWS services that are utilized in conjunction with these services. There will be fees for those instances, for instance, which you automatically scale up more EC2 instances. The section 2 deals with the AWS organizations. With the help of the free account management tool, AWS organizations, we can combine many AWS accounts into a single centrally controlled organization. Consolidated billing and account management features included in AWS organizations make it easier for you to fulfill your company's financial security and compliance objectives. AWS organizations' key advantages are centrally controlled access controls for many AWS accounts. Access to AWS services is restricted. Automated creation and administration of AWS accounts. Billing consolidation for many AWS accounts. The Section 3 deals with AWS billing and cost management. The service we use to pay our AWS payment, track your consumption, and set a budget for expenses is called AWS billing and cost management. In order to prepare ahead, billing and cost management gives you the ability to participate as well as to anticipate and have a better picture of what your costs and use may be in the future. By comprehending our cost and use data patterns and how you're utilizing your AWS solution, the AWS cost and usage report tool enables us to pinpoint areas for optimization. The AWS billing dashboard enables you to see the status of your month-to-date AWS spending, pinpoint the service that make up the bulk of your total spending, and gain a high-level understanding of how expenses are changing. The third module is about the AWS Global Infrastructure Overview. Section 1. AWS Global Infrastructure. The AWS Global Infrastructure is planned and constructed to provide a dependable, scalable, secure, and high-quality global network performance cloud computing environment. Regions serve as the foundation for the AWS cloud architecture. AWS has 22 regions throughout the globe. An AWS region is a specific area on the map that has one or more availability zones. One or more data centers make availability zones in turn. Regions are kept apart from one another in order to promote fault tolerance and stability. Resources are not immediately duplicated from one region to another. Data that is stored in a certain region is not copied outside of that region. Section 2 is about the AWS services and the service category overview. We have the storage service category. The examples are as follows: the database service category. We have the networking and content delivery services, and also the AWS cost management services. So the examples are there. So the fourth module, the AWS cloud security. Section 1 is about the AWS shared responsibility model. AWS and the client both share responsibility for security and compliance. This shared responsibility concept aims to lessen the operational strain placed on the client. Both data in transit and data at rest must be encrypted, and this is the customer's responsibility. Additionally, the client must make sure that the network is set up for security and that security logins and credentials are properly maintained. Additionally, the client is in charge of setting up security groups and the operating system for compute instances that they deploy, including updates and security patches. Service characteristics and security responsibility. Infrastructure as a service. The term IaaS refers to the services that offer the fundamental building blocks for cloud computing. These services generally include access to networking, computers, and data storage space. The IaaS style cloud services offer the maximum amount of flexibility and administrative control over IT resources to the customer. The IaaS services are most comparable to the on-premises computing resources that are now available and that many IT teams are accustomed to. Example of IaaS is Amazon EC2. Now, platform as service. Platform as service refers to the services that remove the need for the customer to manage the underlying infrastructure. The user may completely concentrate on developing and maintaining apps thanks to PaaS services. Customers don't have to worry about budgeting for capacity, maintaining software, or patching. Examples of PaaS in AWS is Amazon RDS. Let's come to the software as a service or SaaS services that offer centrally hosted software often available through a web browser, mobile app, or application programming interface. It's known as software as a service. Providers API. SaaS solutions often use a subscription-based or pay-as-you-go licensing model. The customers do not have to handle the infrastructure management for SaaS products. Examples are the AWS Shield, AWS Cham, and many more. The section 2 is about the AWS Identity and Access Management, or IAM, as we call it in short. We can manage access to compute, storage, database, and application services in the AWS cloud thanks to AWS IAM. We may determine which users can access which services by using IAM to manage authentication as well as to create and enforce permission restrictions. The section 3 is about securing accounts, the AWS organizations. We may combine many AWS accounts using AWS organizations so that we can administer them from a single location. Features of AWS organization security. Organize AWS accounts into operational Organize AWS accounts into organizational units and provide each OU a unique set of access controls. IAM integration and support. What is permitted by AWS organizations and what is given by IAM in that account come together to form users' permissions. Establish control over the AWS services and API operations that each AWS account may access by using service control policies. And also the Amazon Cognito. What Amazon Cognito offers are as follows. Includes access control, user sign up and sign in features in an online and mobile applications, scales to millions of users. It supports sign in using security assertion markup language or SML 2.0 with business identity providers like Microsoft Active Directory as well as social identity providers like Facebook, Google, and Amazon. Section 4 is about securing data on AWS, which can be done by encryption of data in rest and also by encryption of data in transit, which are described in the two parts. Now the fifth module deals with networking and content delivery. Section 1, networking basics. A computer network is made up of two or more client computers connected in order to share resources. Subnets can theoretically be created inside a network to link all the clients together and enable communication between them. Networking requires a networking device such as the router or switch, the OSI model. It's a conceptual model used to describe how data moves through a network. It's called the OSI or the Open Systems Interconnection Model. It has 7 layers or levels, each of which displays the typical protocols and addresses used to transport data there. The section 2, Amazon VPC. In order to deploy our AWS resources, we may create a logically isolated area of the AWS cloud using the Amazon Virtual Private Cloud or VPC service. This area is referred to as Virtual Private Cloud or VPC. Resources in our VPC can communicate with other resources online through the IP addresses. Section 3, VPC networking, Internet Gateway. Communication between instances in your VPC and the Internet is made possible via Internet Gateway. A scalable, redundant, and highly available VPC component and Internet Gateway has two functions. It acts as a targeting VPC, route tables for traffic that may be routed over the Internet, and it translates network addresses for instances that have been given public IPv4 addresses. The NAT gateway is the network address translation gateway, which makes it possible for instances on a private subnet to connect to the Internet or other AWS services, but it prohibits the Internet from making the initial connection. The section 4 is about VPC security, in which you have to understand the security group. So for instance, our security group serves as a virtual firewall that manages both inbound and outgoing traffic. Inbound and outgoing instance traffic is governed by security group policies. Network access control lists. For our Amazon VPC, a network access control list or network ACL is an optional layer of protection for regulating traffic into and out of one or more subnets. It serves as a firewall. We may configure network ACLs with rules that are comparable to our security groups to add an additional layer of protection to our VPC. The section 5, Amazon CloudFront. Amazon CloudFront is a quick CDN service that securely transmits data, videos, apps, and application programming interfaces at high transport rates and low latency to users all over the world. It also offers a welcoming atmosphere for developers. A worldwide network of edge sites and regional edge caches is used by Amazon CloudFront to distribute files to users. A network of caching servers that is dispersed internationally is known as a Content Delivery Network or CDN. Copies of frequent requested files that are stored on the application origin server are cached by CDN from a cache edge or point of presence that offers the requester the quickest delivery. The CDN sends a local copy of the requested material. The benefits include fast and global security at the edge, highly programmable, etc. Now the sixth one, compute. So the section 1 of this model describes the compute services overview. The many computing services are available via Amazon Web Services. A quick description of what each service or each compute service provides is given below. You can go through them. So the services include the Amazon EC2, the Amazon EC2 auto scaling, Amazon or AWS Lambda, Amazon EKS, Amazon Lightsail, Amazon Batch, and Amazon Fargate. Section 2, Amazon EC2. Elastic Compute Cloud is denoted by the EC2 in Amazon EC2. The term elastic refers to the simplicity with which you may alter the size of current servers as well as the number of servers you operate to support an application automatically. Compute refers to the primary resources or purposes for which most users use services or servers, which are to host active programs and process data. These tasks call for compute resources such as processing power, CPU, and memory RAM. The EC2 instances you operate are hosted in the cloud, which is referred to as a cloud. The section 3, Amazon EC2 cost optimization. Different advantages are offered by each Amazon EC2 price structure. The most flexible option is on-demand services or instances, which also have minimal prices and no long-term commitment. Spot instances offer massive scale at a sharply reduced cost. If your computing requirements are predictable or steady state, reserved instances are a viable option. For example, an instance that you know you want to keep running most of all of the time for months or for years, you can go for this one. When there are license limitations on the software you wish to run on Amazon EC2, or when you have particular compliance or regulatory needs that prevent you from utilizing the other deployment options, dedicated hosts are a solid alternative. You must take into account four reliable, potent factors in order to maximize efforts, in order to maximize costs, right size, and increased elasticity. Now, section 4 deals with the container services. We may execute an application and all of its dependencies in separate processes with resource isolation by using containers, a technique for operating system virtualization. We can quickly bundle the core settings and dependencies of an application into simple building pieces that provide version control, operational efficiency, environmental uniformity, and developer productivity. Amazon EC2. Docker containers are supported by Amazon ECS, a highly scalable, high performance container management service. We can simply execute programs on a controlled cluster of Amazon EC2 instances thanks to Amazon ECS. Amazon EKS is simple to learn. It is simple to run Kubernetes on AWS with the help of Amazon Elastic Kubernetes Service or EKS. Managed Kubernetes service without having to set up, run, and maintain your own Kubernetes control plane. The Amazon ECR. It's an AWS managed container image registry service that is secure, scalable, and reliable. Amazon ECR supports private repositories with resource based permissions using AWS IAM. The section 5 is about the introduction to AWS Elastic Beanstalk. Another alternative for AWS computing services is Amazon or AWS Elastic Beanstalk. We can quickly build, scale, and manage your web apps and application services in this platform as a service. With this platform as a service or PaaS. The seventh module is storage. In section 1, I learned about the Amazon Elastic Block Store or Amazon EBS. Persistent block storage volumes are offered by Amazon EBS for usage with Amazon EC2 instances to guard against component failure. Each Amazon EBS volume is automatically replicated inside its availability zone. It is made with great durability and availability in mind. The reliable and low latency performance required to operate our workloads is provided by Amazon EBS volumes. The section 2, Amazon Simple Storage Service or Amazon S3. A managed cloud storage option called Amazon S3 is intended to expand easily and over 11 nines of durability. We can read, write, and remove things in your bucket, and we can store almost any number of objects there. The names of buckets must be universal and distinct across all bucket names already in use on Amazon S3. The objects can have a maximum size of 5 TB. By default, data in Amazon S3 is redundantly stored across several locations and several devices inside each location. The various object level storage classes with varying use cases are available through Amazon S3, which are Amazon S3 Standard and Amazon S3 Intelligent Tiering. Storage class type. The standard storage is made to have 4 nines of availability and 11 nines of durability, the S3 standard. By storing data that is accessed less often at somewhat lower levels of redundancy than Amazon S3 standard storage, we can cut your expenses by using the S3 standard infrequent access or SIA storage option inside Amazon S3. The 11 nines of durability that Amazon S3 offers are also provided by standard infrequent access along with 3 nines of availability throughout the course of a year. Rates vary depending on the class. The storage classifier or the storage capacity. The quantity and dimensions of the things kept in your Amazon S3 buckets. The requests. Consider the quantity and kind of requests. Charges for get requests are accessed at a different rate than for those for put and copy requests. Data transfer. Take into account the volume of the data that is moved beyond the Amazon S3 region. Keep in mind that while data transfer into the system is free, data transport out is not. Section 3 is about Amazon EFS. The Amazon Cloud's file storage can be easily set up and scaled using Amazon EFS, a fully managed service. A file system for large data and analytics, video processing frameworks and overflows, workflows, content management, web serving, and home directories may be created using Amazon EFS. Using common operating system file I/O APIs, we may design the file systems that are accessible by Amazon EC2 instances using a file system interface, strong consistency, file locking, and other full file system access semantics and supported by these file systems. So the eighth one on our list is databases. Amazon Relational Database Service. A relational database is set up and run in the cloud via Amazon RDS, a managed service. AWS offers a service that sets up, run, and grows the relational database without any continuing administration to solve the difficulties of maintaining an unmanaged, standalone relational database. The resizable and affordable capacity offered by Amazon RDS automates time-consuming administrative processes. By allowing us to concentrate on our applications, we are able to provide them with the performance, high availability, security, and compatibility they require. Our data and your application optimization are our main priorities with Amazon RDS. The database instance is Amazon RDS's fundamental building piece. An isolated database environment that houses numerous user-created databases is known as database instance. Amazon DynamoDB. For all applications that require reliable single-digit millisecond latency at any scale, DynamoDB is a quick and adaptable NoSQL database service. Items in the same table in a NoSQL database might have various properties, which is out of its disadvantages. The ability to add properties as the program develops is made possible by this. Without doing schema migrations, we may keep objects in fewer and newer formats next to items in order formats in the same table. There are two ways to get data out of a DynamoDB table. In the first approach, the primary key is used in the query process, which makes use of partitioning to efficiently locate the objects using a scan. The second technique, we may identify objects in the table by comparing criteria on non-key properties. The ability to find things using different qualities is provided by the second technique. However, because DynamoDB will search through every term in the table to identify the ones that satisfy our criteria, the process is less effective. Section 3 is about Amazon Redshift. Utilizing conventional SQL and your current business intelligence or BI tools, Amazon Redshift is a quick, fully managed data warehouse that makes it easy and affordable to analyze all of your data. By utilizing advanced query optimization, columnar storage on high performance local disks, and massively parallel data processing, it enables the execution of complicated analytic queries on petabytes of structured data. The majority of results are returned quickly. User cases. Enterprise Data Warehouse or EDW, Big Data and Software as a Service or SaaS. The section 4 is about the Amazon Aurora. Relational databases compatible with MySQL and PostgreSQL are available as part of the Amazon Aurora Cloud Platform. It combines the availability and performance of top-tier commercial databases with the use and the low cost of open source databases. While increasing the databases dependability and availability, using Amazon Aurora can lower our database expenditures. Provisioning, patching, backing, recovery, failure detection, and repair are just a few of the time consuming processes that Aurora fully managed services made to automate. The ninth one, cloud architecture. Section 1 is about the AWS well architected framework. The AWS well architected framework is a manual that we can use to create the safest, fastest, most reliable, and effective infrastructure for our cloud workloads and applications. It offers a collection of fundamental queries and recommended practices that might aid in accessing and putting our cloud designs into effect. After examining tens of thousands of client designs on AWS created the well architected framework. Operational excellence pillar. The operational excellence pillar focuses on the capacity to manage systems to provide corporate value and continuously enhance auxiliary practices. The security pillar, utilizing risk analysis and mitigation techniques. The security pillar concentrates on the capacity to safeguard data, systems, and assets while generating corporate value. Reliability pillar. The reliability pillar's main goal is to make sure that a task consistently and accurately fulfills its intended purpose at the appropriate time. A robust workload swiftly recovers from errors to satisfy client and company needs. Performance efficiency pillar. In order to satisfy the system requirements, it's important to be able to use IT and computing resources efficiently. It also helps to be able to sustain this effectiveness when demand changes or technology advances. Cost optimization pillar. The ability to cut expenses whenever possible is the main goal of the cost optimization pillar. Section 2, reliability and availability. Reliability. The capacity of a system to deliver functionality when required by the user is measured by its reliability. The likelihood that a system will run as designed over a given period of time is known as reliability. Utilizing statistical data such as mean time between failures is a standard method of assessing dependability. Total time in service divided by the total number of failures is known as MTBF. Availability. The proportion of a time system is functioning regularly or correctly carrying out the tasks expected of it is called availability. Anytime the program isn't running regularly, including planned and unplanned disruptions, availability is diminished. The percentage of uptime over a certain length of time is another way to describe availability. Number of nines is a typical abbreviation for availability. 5 nines, for instance, denotes a 99.999 percentage availability rate. Now, the factors that influence availability are fault tolerance, recoverability, and scalability. The section 3 is about the AWS Trusted Advisor. Our complete AWS infrastructure is examined by an AWS Trusted Advisor who then makes suggestions in one of the five categories: cost optimization, service limits, and other things. So, the final module is automatic scaling and monitoring. The section 1, elastic load balancing. An AWS service called elastic load balancing divides incoming application or network traffic among various targets such as Amazon Elastic Compute Cloud or Amazon EC2 instances, containers, Internet Protocol or IP addresses, and Lambda functions in a single availability zone or across several availability zones. As traffic to an application fluctuates over time, elastic load balancing adjusts the load balancer. The majority of workloads can be scaled automatically. Section 2, Amazon CloudWatch. A monitoring and observability service called Amazon CloudWatch was created with DevOps engineers, programmers, site reliability engineers, and IT managers in mind. We have real-time CloudWatch monitoring of our AWS resources, metrics which are valuable that we may track for our resources, and applications can be gathered and tracked using CloudWatch. CloudWatch alarms. A CloudWatch alarm may be set up to monitor a single CloudWatch statistic or the outcome of a mathematical calculation based on CloudWatch data. A static threshold, anomaly detection, or a metric maths expression can be all used to trigger CloudWatch alarms. Section 3 is about Amazon EC2 autoscaling. The demands of our applications can be best met by adjusting scaling in a number of ways with Amazon EC2 autoscaling. EC2 instances can be manually added or removed. added or removed on a schedule in reaction to changing demand, or combined with AWS auto scaling for predictive scaling. It is possible to grow more quickly by combining dynamic scaling with predictive scaling. Auto scaling group. For the purposes of automated scaling and administration, an auto scaling group is a collection of Amazon EC2 instances that are considered as a logical grouping. The number of instances we provide as the required capacity determines how big an auto scaling group will be. Its size may be modified manually or automatically to accommodate demand. So finally, the conclusion. So after we have gone through all the modules as well as the basic overview of which each one of the modules has to provide, let's see what is the conclusion. The most complete and widely used cloud platform in the world, Amazon Web Services, provides other 200 fully functional services from data centers across the world. AWS is being used by millions of clients, including the biggest corporations, the fastest growing startups, and the top government organizations to save costs, improve flexibility, and accelerate innovation. By using the course AWS Academy Cloud Foundations, I have come to know all the basic services that are currently being offered by the AWS, how they work in real life, in real time, and all the advantages and disadvantages of each of the services. This helps me to clear the AWS Cloud Practitioner certification exam. After clearing the exam, I got a certificate for AWS Cloud Practitioner, and now I am an AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. This learning helps me to identify the correct AWS service for every business scenario according to the needs of the customer that can help a client to get the best service with the best deal. So these were some of the references which I've made use of, although the unlisted things are not here on the references. The unlisted websites and resources, the documentation which I made use of are much more enormous in number to what I have actually listed on the references table. So there are only 52 links, but there are enormous documentation, a lot of documentation you can go through if you really want to ace this exam and really have a certified cloud practitioner certificate in your hand. Okay, so this was all from the video, guys. So after a long time I actually made this video, but I actually want to tell that if you want to learn more, then you can go through the documentation, the official documentation of AWS. Yeah, so that's all from this video, guys. I hope you liked it, and after a very long time I actually made some video, so it gives me great pleasure. Yeah, and so one more thing before I sign off. If you like this video, then don't forget to like, share, as well as comment on this video, and also make sure that you press the subscribe button to support me on this journey of providing quality tech content and beyond to all of you. And make sure that you follow me on social media platforms like Instagram, Facebook, etc. So you never miss an update from me, AstroDestroyer 146. So that's all. Signing off. Cheers. Bye bye.